So they finally put out some footage of that Rugrats reboot they're doing. Let's check it out. Yeah. I can't say I'm too enthused about it. I don't think the Rugrats characters convert into 3D realms too well. I know 3D's cheaper than 2D, but still, they're just characters that look much, much better as they were originally drawn. I guess I also just prefer that grungy, Klasky Shupo art style. Yeah, I know there's some dumbasses out there that will call the Rugrats old animation ugly or shitty, but they're wrong. That style was insanely charming and had a ton of character to it. Even later Rugrats didn't have that much style to it versus the original stuff. There's also the cheery fact that, well, Christine Cavanaugh has passed away, on top of David Doyle and Jack Riley having passed as well. I don't think you can replace these actors too easily, especially Jack Riley. Stu's voice was so perfect that I genuinely don't want to hear anyone else in that role.
There they are.
I've also read that basically all of the adults have been recast too. The babies will maintain their VOs, but fuck everyone else, I guess. Shit, I barely even recognize this show anymore. Well, at least I have my limited edition Tommy Pickles dump truck.
Uh-oh, Tommy, we gotta deliver your poop. This is the worst fucking Hot Wheel I've ever seen in my life.
Let's play another Rugrats game, though, and remember the good times, shall we? Rugrats Studio Tour, the game that followed up Rugrats Search for Reptar. Oh, it's tall order to follow for certain, but let's see if it could live up to the legacy at all. Released on November the 10th, 1999 for PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 1 only. Developed by N-Space and published by THQ, Studio Tour takes place, where else, on a movie studio lot somewhere in the Rugrats universe. The parents, once again, only being Stu, Dee Dee, and Grandpa, I guess the budget for this game didn't allow any more adults, have decided to bring Tommy, Chucky, Phil, Lil, Angelica, Susie, and newcomer Dill to a movie studio lot for a tour of the area. Why all the other parents would trust these three boneheads to take their children anywhere, especially considering this game takes place after the first movie, is just beyond me. But here we are. How will their criminal negligence allow the children to make mischief this time? Well, here's how. While on the lot, the kids just run off. That's it. These three can't keep track of 8 children somehow. I guess Larry's tour is just that damn engrossing. After running off into one of the buildings, the kids are caught screwing around by new lot security guard Steve. These two are clearly fresh off their firing from the local supermarket after the incident on aisle 7. Shit, I'd quit too if I was expected to clean up everything that happened in that level. While trying to wrangle the babies back to their parents, Dill, ever the troublemaker, tosses all the guard's keys all over the guff, and while trying to recover them, the guard inadvertently locks Dill behind a security door. Steve runs off to get help, I guess. Though, if the menu screen is any indicator, he just kind of stood around doing nothing. The babies realize once again it's up to them instead of the adults to find the keys and rescue Dill. Bad idea, game. Trying to motivate me by saying I need to rescue Dill of all characters. What's next? You gonna ask me to save Harold? But my boy Tommy's got sponsibilities, and I'm not one to balk at such things, so I'll save Dill this time. Studio Tour, similar to its predecessors, is a big collection of mini-games, but instead of being themed around various Rugrats episodes, are themed around movies with Rugrats-related parody titles, specifically Diapies of Thunder, Captain Cookies, Outside Space, and Lazy Saddles. You get dumped in the menu after the intro and have a variety of options available to you before you jump into the game. I don't know why, but Phil and Lil rising out of the boxes to represent the game's audio volumes just tickles me pink.
Rise from your grave.
As you could have inferred, the point of this game is to collect enough keys to unlock the security door and save Dill from his self-inflicted prison. You acquire these keys by clearing levels in the game and by, once again, collecting Reptar bars. 50 of them nets you a key, a number far larger than the previous game, but made up for by the addition of purple Reptar bars, which give you 5 points, and by far bigger amounts of Reptar bars in general. Let's start with Captain Cookies, shall we? You have a humble treasure hunt where you scour a map to find keys to open a big-ass treasure chest. This can be followed by Pirate Golf, a 9-hole golf course, because as we know, Ice Cream Mountain was everybody's favorite in the first game, but unlike in the first game, everybody's favorite part is now missing, that part being a grown man screaming taunt at a child. This is followed by treasure collecting, where you run around a beach grabbing gold doubloons. Next game is a simple foot race. My first attempt at this game made me think it was actually pretty challenging. I lost my first race, actually. In a children's game, that speaks leagues of my own skill, but then I realized that jumping doesn't kill your momentum in this game, and I bunny hopped my way to victory. Just look how far ahead I got from my opposition by just mashing the jump button. And you cap off these fun pirate-related adventures with a game of tag as Angelica. Hunt the babies down, and feel free to move on to the next area. Outside space, in my case. The first game I played in Outside Space was, mildly frustrating, to say the least. Zero G's is a spacefaring platformer game where you have to get from point A to point B. Simple, right? Well, once again, we come to the same struggles from Search for Reptar. The very awkward platforming this game has, on top of the camera angles that make it even more difficult to get through. Due to momentum, it's very easy to fall to your untimely safety. There's also Mr. Friends running about, which I forgot to mention earlier. The Mr. Friends are the stock enemies that populate a ton of levels in this game. They don't hurt you, but they can steal certain level keys from you, on top of Reptar's bars, which which is basically like stealing the needed keys from you. You can blast them, so not a big threat. Also, Stu must be hella rich if these creepy things sold so well. I mean, who would buy this shit? Back to Outside Space, though, you have Lazy Beams, which is just a simple shooting gallery type game, but with incredibly erratic controls that make it much harder than it should be. This section's capped off with Looney Lander, a whimsically named activity where you commit vehicular manslaughter on innocent alien creatures. Then I went to Diapies of Thunder, which are just some pretty simple racing levels. They're not bad, but honestly, these races can really drag at times. Like, did the basic circular track really need to go for 8 laps? Also, much like in the foot race, it's pretty easy to mount a spectacular lead over your foes. The only time I ever got behind in Diapies was when I went out on my way to collect Reptar bars, and even then I caught up super easily. I'm pretty confident the AI ignored any projectiles I dropped or shot at them, though. I inconvenienced myself more than other racers using them. Okay, one final area now. It's the Wild West area, headed up by Susie Carmichael, now a fully fledged character in this game, unlike in Search for Reptar, and it's called Lazy Saddles.
Never mind that shit. Here comes Mungo.
Lazy Saddles has another long golfing course on top of the Milk Squirt. Then comes one of the longer mini-games in the minecart stages. You have to collect gold nuggets in a mine shaft while Mr. Friends harass you and steal your nuggets if they crash into you. You can actually lose this segment if you get hit too many times, as there simply won't be enough nuggets left for you. After collecting enough of them, you get a whole ass minute to race back to the entrance. Then there's a 4-stage roundup game where in the first 2 you meticulously collect rabbits or chicks and place them in the correct home. Then you collect special pigs as Chucky. How do you know they're special? Can't tell by looks after all. You wanna know? They make the right tone when you pick them up, and that's it. So you just have to grab random pigs until you find the right one. And lastly is just rounding up sheep with Spike. The sheep pathing is kind of strange, and I found it a bit weird to get them back into their pens without running them past yourself. Thankfully, the sheep will just sometimes wander into a pen on their own. So after you've played and collected 9 keys, you can go rescue Dill. You plug the keys into the door, and...
Whee!
Christ, you get hit with a whole nother door, this time with 25 keyholes. Thankfully, you just have to find the correct one and not fill out the whole thing, but if you're like me and have terrible luck, you might be here a while. Double thankfully, this door isn't immune to save scumming, so if you have no patience like me, you can just keep reloading until you pick the right keyhole. But you're not quite done yet after you open that second door. You have 3 more levels to get through. Sherlock Holmes is a simple hunt for 4 keys in a graveyard, followed by some simple puzzle solving and platforming segments. Angelica gets to Dill, but gives up when he flies through a hidden bookcase door. Tommy, not one to give up so easily, dons his Okie Dokie Jones persona and follows Dill. Okie Dokie Jones is another platforming segment to get through, except your speed has been doubled. Holy shit, Tommy is so quick here. And the ultimate level in Studio Tour is Reptar Park.
Must go faster.
Yeah, you're basically desperately fleeing from the baby's hero Reptar, who will just kind of die if he catches you. Which can happen a lot, because the opening drops you really close to Reptar, and if you don't bust ass immediately, you'll get caught like I did. But just remember, if you jump, you'll easily get far ahead of Reptar. In fact, I got so far ahead of him, the bar glitched and he didn't even show up on it. Until I drove off the screen and he caught me thereafter. Honest question, why isn't there a wall or barrier here? You're supposed to go down here, obviously. I got that on my second attempt in this area, but it's bizarre to me that there's no barrier here to discourage you. It was really funny though, so I'll let it slide. You race away from Reptar, picking up the rest of the gang as you pursue Dill, who's caught up on the director's platform. After escaping the big green dinosaur 3 times, everyone except Angelica chased down Dill on foot after he gets dropped off here.
How can it be so hard to catch someone who can't even walk?
You know, Susie makes a good point. Everybody meets back up with the parents, though Angelica, since she was stuck in the Reptar wagon, is the only one that gets caught misbehaving, and is the only one that gets punished as a result. Which, while I have my normal grievances with Angelica, I think it's kind of messed up that she gets singled out for punishment here. She didn't really do anything, outside of giving up on getting Dill back, I guess. Meanwhile, these 7 chuckleheads just sneak back into place behind the parents, who, might I add, somehow did not notice them all going missing, but that's just par for the course for Rugrats, to be totally honest. God help these parents when their kids become full teenagers. But yeah, that's Studio Tour wrapped up in a nice little bow. You know, I don't plan on playing every Rugrats game, but maybe I will. Just for shits and gigs, really. But how does this game fare when all's said and done? Well, the developers definitely seemed to realize that Search for Reptar was kind of short, so they worked to make this one a bit longer. More settings, more activities, but a lot of it just kind of seemed like padding. It is good they were willing to go more elaborate this time out, and embraced a lot of the greater adventures the Rugrats were known for. The minigames are okay, to be honest, but some of them are just not very inspired. I mean, a foot race? Really? Some of these games also just drag, to be honest. Like the mine carts, both 9-hole golf courses, and the Diapies of Thunder races. Most of them keep to a 3-level limit though, so that's good at least. They don't drag on overly long. Thankfully though, you aren't at all obligated to complete every minigame, since Reptar bars are pretty plentiful, enough to give you the extra keys you'll need to unlock the door. Unless you have really bad luck with that second door like me. Studio Tour, it's an okay game though. I don't think it's better than Search for Reptar, but I mean, what Rugrats game is. This one's enjoyable enough to play though, in spite of its few faults. You can also enjoy some unlockables after you clear the game, like an additional level for Diapies of Thunder, and Big Head Mode. As always though, I'm Hades Manticore, this here channel is City State Manticore. Leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.